What is going on, you guys? It's your guy, Senpai Rai, and you might know me as a premium content creator for mobile's King of Fighters All-Star, but today, I am bringing you, with full confidence, literally the strongest end game build in God of War Ragnarok, which was, at the time of this recording, released about a week ago. So let's begin, starting with amulets. We're going with a Seal of Runic Storm, which has an activation of 170 runic, but if you fire off 3 of his different elemental finishers, you will get a 15-second runic storm surrounding you. Now for the fossilized keepsake with 175 cooldown, you will absorb 1 instance of damage, which is amazing. Now, for the Emblem of Illusion, it essentially gives you, if you played Elden Ring, light roll capability. Let me show you real quick, which gives you an excellent evasion window and pretty much get out of trouble free card whenever it comes to being attacked. Now, what also makes this build very versatile is you can trade this one out for many other potential enchantments, which could better fit your specific playstyle for this game. Again, this build is extremely versatile, has an extreme amount of survivability, DPS, cooldown, and it's just an amazing build. Now, let me show you what I mean with the Emblem of Illusion giving you an extended ability to roll out of danger. Let me show you real quick. Here we go. Let me back out real fast and boom. You see, it's just great. That's one of my favorites right there. So for the next set of amulets, all the way at the top of the screen, we have Niflheim's Virtue, Niflheim's Fortune, and Niflheim's Justice up here. And the set bonus gives Kratos a nice melee boost whenever his health is buffed 75% based on his defense. And as you see, his defense is at 456, which is amazing for survivability. Now for this last one, it gives you a bonus 20% boost to strength. Now it seems like every one of the sets have one rune that does something amazing and boosts one characteristic by a lot. Now for the next set, we have the Vanaheim set, which it boosts Kratos melee damage based on his luck. Now with that 92 luck, my luck could be a lot higher, but with this build, you're constantly proccing status effects, so it's just extra DPS, which is always a warm welcome and an amazing contribution to this build. With the different enchantments, we were able to meet, again, the 175 cooldown for the Fossilized Keepsake, negating 1 hit of damage, and the 170 runic threshold, which gives you the ability to use the Seal of Runic Storm. Now, let's jump right into the armor pieces. For the chest piece, I went with a Steinbjorn Placard, which essentially gives you lifesteal whenever it says a significant amount of damage is taken, but it procs pretty often on pretty much any attack. Now, for the arm piece and the waist, I went with both the Surtur's matching sets, giving you 20% damage negation apiece, 40% damage negation total on top of your massive defense. For the actual Leviathan axe, I went with a grip of 9 realms, which gives you momentous shifts, which slows down time for 1 to 2 seconds whenever L1 and triangle is pushed. And for the actual Blades of Chaos, I went with a Radiant Warden Handles, giving you more cooldown. And for the Spear, I got the Hind of the 9 Realms, similarly to the Leviathan axe, giving you cooldown and momentous shift. For the shield, I went with the Dauntless because I love parrying and it gives you cooldown. And of course, the Rond of Affliction, where you double tap L1 against stats inflicted enemies to cause elemental explosions. Now, for the Spartan Rage, you could use whatever you want, but I personally like Valor to increase my survivability even further. Now, for the Relic, you could use whatever you want. And this slot is pretty much just a freebie to just essentially personalize your build, make it more versatile to your liking and to your play style. Now, that went over all the equipment and all the different relics that I have on this character. Let me show you real quick what level I'm on. And again, I have played and tested this build on the second to hardest setting, which is Give Me No Mercy, which is the same setting that I've beaten the game in its entirety on. Now, I'm gonna start off by using one of each of his different elemental relic attacks, and here you go. You get roughly a 14-second Bifrost shield after you use all 3 of them within rapid succession, as you saw. And check this out, it not only stuns enemies, but does a nice chunk of damage. And again, these are just ads, which, I mean, you're gonna shred them like paper mache. But the real challenge is against bosses. Now, what does this build do against bosses? Well, again, on the second hardest setting, I am going to take this specific build against the Valkyrie Queen herself and show how extremely overpowered this build is. And again, this is after many rigorous hours of testing. This build, alongside many other builds and many other options, in order to reach maximum capabilities whenever it comes to just destroying enemies in the most glorious ways. So, let me take you to that fight right now. Here we go, you guys. Let's go. Now, to start off, I'm going to fire off all 3 of Kratos' elemental runic attacks, and as you can see, every time I use a new one, you get around a 7-second window to fire off the other 2 elemental attacks. Now, after the Bifrost Storm is actually active, I'm just going to spam attacks and get out of danger whenever I see it coming. On top of that, from the Steinbjorn placard, every time I get any kind of relatively significant damage incurred, I will get a nice bit of life steal. Keep in mind this is the second hardest difficulty, and Gina, Valkyrie King, has a ton of health. But with this build, just watch the Bifrost and the different attacks melt her HP away. Check it out. I used the final runic activation that got her in a corner, so it's constantly triggering the Bifrost and the actual other DPS from her. There I used the Tilt of 9 Realms, which slows down time with the axe, and I'm just wailing on her. She can't even do anything against this build. Now, again, if this build shreds the hardest boss in the game like nothing else, then think about what it can do to regular bosses that aren't exactly up to her par. You know, this build is just so good, and with the amounts of cooldown and DPS and survivability you have, check it out. That's the emblem of illusion, where I'm actually able to dodge roll pretty far out of danger, except in that one instance. And right here, I tried to read one of the health pickups, and it did not work out very well for me. But if I were to use something else, like say the Berserker's armor or something of that nature, where it would give me extended DPS, I would have been dead a long time ago, just because it increases the amount of damage you take. And what good is all the damage in the world if they kill you relatively quickly? I mean, it's not a good trade-off if you ask me. That's why, again, I thoroughly enjoy the Steinbjorn placard. Get your ass up, Kratos. It ain't over yet. In order to just constantly proc the health steal, which is amazing for survivability and just winning. Just for clearing content, I guess you would say. Now, let's see. I'm going to try to get the Bifrost Storm one more time, because again, I have a ton of cooldown on this build, coupling the DPS. And okay, you see she's frozen. If I were to double tap L1, it would do a nice little bit of explosion DPS. But I want that Bifrost Storm, and while she is actually frozen, the fire attacks do extra DPS. Now she thinks that she's going to get away. There is no escape from the wrath of the old god build. And just to make sure, let me hit her twice with a shield, just to make sure, and there you go. The hardest boss in the game, on the second hardest difficulty.
You judge me.
Complete. Done. Again, I have hoped that y'all have thoroughly enjoyed this video, and please try out this build. You won't regret it. I promise you that. And I know that's a hell of an allegation to put out there, that this is the strongest endgame God of War build that is currently available. But I mean, think about it. For this game or any other game, what matters? You have a ton of defense that's converted into attack from the actual set that you have equipped. You have a ton of lifesteal. If you're extremely aggressive, which during pretty much any boss fight, you're gonna be spamming Kratos's special moves anyway, his elemental relics, so why not just have a giant Bifrost shield that further melts away enemies? I mean, it's a no-brainer at that point. And on top of everything else on this build, you have the fossilized keepsake, where you're able to negate a huge portion of damage whenever it's incurred for the first time with a moderately short cooldown window. Now, let's see. This is not a way to get ahead in life. Cue the corny dad joke. But yeah, this is essentially the entire build, you guys. And with the set, you get a massive amount of negation from Surters. Again, with the placard, you get the health regeneration. You have extended evasion from the Amulet of Illusion. It does a whole lot. It does a whole lot. It does a whole lot, including DPS and giving you survivability, like I keep saying. Now, that concludes the video, everybody. For the next remaining moments, I'm going to just briefly go over all of the equipment one more time. Feel free to pause the video whenever you see fit. And again, this has been your guy, Senpai Rai, and I hope that you have thoroughly enjoyed this video, and I'm out. Later, everybody.